Go ahead. Turn it up. It's the Record Machine Show with your host, Jimmy Howe.
Too long, I can hear my voice shaking, but I'm liquored up. I still feel the asphalt and cold handcuffs, the smoke on his breath as he locked me up. The sheriff knew somehow his girl would find out. Susan was quiet, but this was such a small town. Starving for pleasure, just a matter of time before the blood on her hands could only be from his wife. And the only way out is the truth, the way out. No amount of pleading, honestly won't do. My name is written on these cell walls, and sheriff, I'll tell you again, you got the wrong woman. From the old Jack bar, she was some kind of flirty when she played the guitar. She and the sheriff had a secret to keep. The day his wife found out was lost to history. And the only way out is the truth, the way out. No amount of pleading honestly won't do. My name is written on these cell walls, and sheriff, I'll tell you again, you had the wrong woman. Sheriff, let's talk this through. You have the wrong woman, you always knew. Your wife had beauty, but you could have had me. I changed my name from Susan, now I go by Lee.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the band The Horse and Locomotive, Sarah White, Kevin Gunter, and Alex Shaw. So how you guys doing?
We're good.
Where are you guys from originally?
Originally, we were out of Springfield. We started back in 2016. Just a group of friends. Alex was a part of that. He's located out of Joplin, Missouri now. But Kevin, our guitar player, is out of Fayetteville, Arkansas, and I'm from Springfield, Missouri as well.
Very cool. Now, what inspired you guys to start playing and making music?
Ooh. Sarah, you want to take that?
Yeah. Well, so we were very involved in band growing up, and as teenagers we were in marching band and jazz band and all that, and so we got to be around music quite a bit and got to learn different instruments, and so over time we just kind of developed that passion that was already in place, and from there it was just changing the instrumentation a little bit, so to speak, and finding new avenues to where we could channel that passion, but in a place that could take us to venues and different bars and breweries and things like that we could get to play live music together and have a good time.
And I think with Sarah and I, we both were like, oh, guitar seems interesting, and then we got together and we were like, let's start writing some stuff and see kind of where that takes us. And we got together and we were like, oh, this is actually pretty decent. Maybe we should actually do something with this. And it kind of grew from that.
Very cool. I believe every band or artist is influenced by someone. Who are some of your influences?
Alex, you want to start that one?
Yeah, I know when Sarah and I first started playing just kind of like acoustic stuff, we'd play little coffee shop gigs and play covers. And we started out playing like The Head and the Heart and trying to think, like just kind of folky stuff. I know Sarah's more into like more country stuff, and then I'm into more kind of rock stuff, and that kind of, and then we both met in the middle with folk, so that kind of developed our sound. So I don't really know about influences though. It was kind of just the head and the heart at first.
Yeah, I definitely add like the Civil Wars were a pretty good at the time, you know, just with the duo element. I think over time, you know, though here recently especially, we've developed our sound to more of a rock influence. I know like in my writing, like Sloth Rust has definitely been a huge inspiration. Destroy Boys, some of our unreleased stuff that's coming out later this fall and winter is going to be a little bit more attuned to that sound. But as far as writing style goes, that's probably more adherent to what we've been looking at here recently. I would say, Kevin, if you want to speak on some of your more solo oriented inspirations, there's definitely some artists there, I think.
Yeah, I grew up in Alabama, and just my dad played guitar, and a lot of family and friends played guitar and bass and different instruments. So I was always around like that blues kind of southern rock inspiration. So like Billy Gibbons, Stevie Ray Vaughan, B.B. King, like those are all very big, like it was, you know, very big like influences growing up. But then as I got older, I was like Slash, Angus Young, those were Randy Rhoads, like they just kind of, I tried to pull inspiration from those different artists, you know, and use that to build my own sound in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But those were definitely some of my influences.
Now, you guys said you formed in 2016?
Originally, yeah. It was a very different kind of starting out, though. I mean, we took it a very different route originally of just, you know, let's get some friends together and play some music. And it wasn't quite the professional caliber, I would say, that we've taken the band to as far as here recently. You know, we were definitely more in the local scene starting out, just wanting to do something a little more casual here recently. And with the addition of Kevin on guitar, we've definitely jumped up to, I would say, a more, you know, branching out kind of level. We've played in Chicago, and we played a gig out in Colorado and in St. Louis and some other bigger cities that, you know, we just wanted to kind of get out and get our sound out and get a little bit more professional production out of our recording quality as well, that we've really jumped into for the first time, realistically speaking, this past year.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you missing somebody, or you're a three-piece band?
So the Horse and Locomotive as a whole has kind of always been a more of an idea less than the individual members, I would say, because when we started out originally, it was kind of just friends from college at the time, and so you've always got people moving on in their lives and getting married and traveling and things like that. So I'd say we've definitely had our experience of members moving in and out, despite the sound kind of centering around its original structure. Here recently, we've added Kevin. We did have a friend of ours at a master's on drums, and he did a really great job. He's a phenomenal studio drummer. And so he did play with us here at our most recent tour, but unfortunately life happens, and he's had to take on new responsibilities in his own personal life. So he's had to move on, and so we're looking for the next person to fill that drummer role for right now. But I would say with that position filled, we're definitely expecting to continue to move on.
Cool. So Sarah, you sing and play guitar, correct?
Yes.
And Kevin plays guitar, and then Alex plays the bass?
Yep.
Correct.
Awesome.
Sarah also writes like 99% of the music, and then I come in, write the little bass lines.
Nice.
You know, Kevin comes in, plays his guitar solos, and then everything else is pretty much Sarah. I kind of want to touch on what Sarah was saying. Like the lineup for the band has been kind of a revolving door, I guess. It's been different people coming in and out. Like I helped her start the band, and then I left for 4 years, and then came back, and I'm now playing bass. But the constant has been Sarah, and I think that's the reason that Horse and Locomotive has been able to maintain that sound is that Sarah's still writing, and all of her writing is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really cool being able to see, starting a band and then seeing it kind of maintain that trajectory even when I'm not there, and then being able to join back. It's a really cool experience.
Nice. Now, what's the story behind the band name?
So originally when we got friends together and we're working on stuff, we didn't start out with a band name, but I remember in history classes at some point in either college or high school, I remember hearing about the original steam engine. I believe it was called Tom Thumb. And after its construction, there was hearsay of, Tom Thumb could probably beat a horse in a race along the racetrack. And so there was a race, I believe in, I want to say 1886 maybe, to where the steam engine Tom Thumb that had just been constructed was put up against a horse, and both had passengers included as well for their tonnage. And so they had this race to see which one would win. And unfortunately, Tom Thumb actually broke down, and the horse ended up winning. But the irony there is, you don't see horses as the infrastructure for moving things around these days. So a really cool little story and a little history lesson of how things started out and where they ended up. And that's ultimately where the name came from. And I thought it really captured this kind of essence of this almost folk originated sound that could also be electrified that I think resonates today.
Awesome story. How would you describe the music you typically create?
Well, as Alex mentioned, definitely a lot of folk influence. We talked about how the Head and the Heart and the Civil Wars kind of originated that sound. However, I think over the years, myself and in my listening experience and also writing experience, I've been exposed to more like Big Thief comes to mind, and of course Sloth Rust. I think there's a lot of really powerful rock influences that come into play now, but also with the same respect that I kind of grew up listening to Reba McEntire and Loretta Lynn and some of these original country artists that I think had really beautiful stories, but could be really well coupled with a more rock, almost alternative kind of sound. And so that kind of came to fruition on its own. And with Kevin on board now as well, he's been able to kind of mesh this really unique, I think, almost 80s rock kind of component to some of the soloing and some of the guitar structuring. And so it's been a enmeshment of these different influences and in different genres even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you guys are great. I came across you on Instagram, and I was like, wow, these guys are really cool. And then I started watching the rest of your stuff. I think you're great.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let's talk about some songs. This podcast will feature two of your songs, one being Wrong Woman and the other one Holding. What's the story behind the songs?
So with Holding, I'd originally written that riff back, I want to say, a couple of years ago at this point, and I always thought it was really fun to play. And it wasn't until I had gone through this really negative relationship situation that kind of brought the lyrics to life in a way. And so that's kind of how that had originated. And I think it really was a precedent that was established in how our sound was evolving and really growing with ourselves in a way. And so that's ultimately how Holding came along. Wrong Woman is a very different story. I originally had started putting together that riff, a few years ago now, and I would play it every now and then, and none of the lyrics that I could come up with at the time really, I felt, complemented that riff enough. And so a friend and I were actually down in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and we had stumbled across this woman who is, I can only describe as a rather degenerate elderly woman. She was very intoxicated at this bar that we were at. And so it was a karaoke bar, and she goes up to sing, and it was Def Leppard's Pour Some Sugar on Me. And started the opening beats, and she wanted nothing of it. She had her own ad-lib intro. And so she starts introducing herself. She gives her information on who she is, and opens up with, I just got out of Pulaski County, Arkansas jail, and they arrested the wrong woman. And that really just sent shivers down my spine. Now, unfortunately for her, I do believe they had the very correct woman. We actually went through and Googled her, and she had multiple accounts of DUIs. So those are a little bit hard to get incorrect. But my friend and I were talking, and she was joking about how, man, this is a great country song. You should really write something that centers this. And so one night I just kind of pulled the riff back out and put the chords together and constructed the song in a way that came about. Now the story isn't one-to-one, so to speak, with her experience, but the idea of this wrong woman being cast in jail really stuck with me from that night.
Now, you have a music video for that song as well, right?
Yep.
Is that why you're wearing a jumpsuit in the video?
Yes. Yep, that's correct.
Well, it makes sense now, right? I was wondering, like, why is she wearing an orange jumpsuit? Did she just get out of jail or something?
The sheriff had the wrong woman.
Yeah, it's a cool video, but when I was watching, I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting outfit to wear." So yeah, looks, and you got the handcuffs on too, still.
Oh, yep.
On the one wrist. Great song, though. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
And you got a video for the other tune, right?
We do for Holding.
Now, do you enjoy shooting the music video as much as writing and recording the songs?
No.
A lot of people say that.
It was kind of a rushed job. We had a venue rented out for, was it 3 hours?
Mm-hmm.
And, trying to shoot a several minute video in a 3 hour span of time with costume changes and set changes and all that stuff. It was very rushed. I had fun personally. It was a blast, but it was just kind of stressful. I'd say it was worth it.
It also doesn't help that
okay.
It also doesn't help that it was 90 degrees outside with no air conditioning.
It was so hot.
And where'd you shoot the videos?
So that was down in Forsyth, Missouri. And then the video for Holding was actually on Table Rock Lake. We kind of went along the dam and in the swimming area when it was lights out and got those done. The event venue, though, for Forsyth they were really polite and kind of let us do, for the most part, whatever we wanted within the bounds of, their expectations. And yeah, it had to meet that 3 hour mark, which was a little bit different than the first video.
They came out great, though.
Oh, thank you.
It worked.
You're welcome. Can you describe your creative process when writing a new song? What comes first, the lyrics or the melody?
I get asked this quite a few times. I definitely think it depends on what is stronger for the most part. In my writing, I'll usually play something acoustically. I've got my acoustic guitar in my living room that, if something just comes to mind, or maybe you're just playing with some different chords or a different key that you usually don't write in. You never know what might spark the imagination. And so I'll just kind of hum along to something and essentially develop the framework. Now I do have my, cliche to say, but I've got my little iPhone notes that I keep of, hey, this is a really good bit of lyrics, or like the concept for a song I'll write down and save it for later. But for the most part, I think the music is what speaks to people the most, and then the lyrics are not necessarily secondary, but more of a complement to what the overall sound is.
How do you view the trend of releasing more singles or an EP as opposed to releasing a full-length album?
So we've released a couple EPs now. Cadence Boulevard, I believe that came out back out in, I want to say 2020, during the pandemic. And then To the Blue and Back was our 2023 EP that we released. And I think a lot of effort, for as much money and time and work that went into those, I do think, it's hard to set individual songs apart when they're all conglomerated together, when you have a release of just a single EP or album, if you have enough songs. And so I think our strategy right now for really maximizing our streams and listeners and really getting out there is just a one by one song release at the moment. And the songs that we're releasing right now, they've definitely taken, with respect to our first two EPs, I mean, that was a lot of work, but we're really putting in, all the stops for these new songs to make sure that our production quality is there, and we're really putting out the best product that we can develop, so to speak, for our listeners.
And I know for me, like releasing singles instead of an EP, like Sarah was saying, doing one by one, it's a little bit better in my mind than doing an EP, because you can promote each song individually and say, hey, this is why you should listen to the song, and then put out a bunch of videos debuting the song, I guess, and then you can give each song that individual attention that it deserves.
What's next for you guys? Any new singles or perhaps a video or any shows coming up that you'd like to mention?
So right now we are kind of taking a little bit of a break. I mean, music is our passion, but we're just musicians. We do have jobs as well, and so we are taking a little bit of a break for the time being from our tour earlier this year. We traveled quite a bit, and coordinating all that and making sure that hotels and rental cars and all that were in place. It takes a lot of effort, and so right now we're kind of enjoying the bliss, so to speak, of our most recent release. And I think from here we've got that backfill position for a drummer that we need to make kind of a priority at the time. But as far as new releases go, we do have 4 new songs that are in the docket to go ahead and get released here soon. And so I think from here it's just going to be a matter of how we can strategize our listening opportunities for each of those songs. And for now, with Wrong Woman just being released last Tuesday, that's kind of our focus for the time being.
Mm-hmm. Where can the listeners go to learn more about you guys?
So we are on all streaming platforms, between Apple Music, Spotify, and others. We do have a website as well, thehorseandlocomotive.com. That's your one-stop shop for keeping up to date with, new pictures, new releases, and also merch. We do try to keep as attentive as we can for our TikTok and Instagram and all that, just to give people an idea of what's happening in our world. And so for the most part, that's kind of where our focus is as far as media platforms and streaming platforms.
Cool. Now, is there anything you'd like to mention that we didn't talk about tonight?
Kevin, Alex, if you guys want to go first,
I don't have anything. No. Kevin, you got anything?
Not that I can think of. No. Yeah, no, my mind is kind of blanking.
Kind of blank.
I will say, with this kind of advent of a new sound and new production quality, I will say this is the beginning of a new trend for us. I think this has really set a precedent for how we want to take ourselves to the next level and in becoming a more professional group of musicians. And so while Wrong Woman is kind of our first release in this new series, there's definitely going to be more. We're planning to release these next new songs, but also begin eventually recording some new material as well. And so that's in its kind of infancy stage of getting written for the time being, and from there we'll just see where it goes. And of course, our goal is always to, appeal to listeners in a way that they can really resonate with what we're writing, and kind of hopefully draw some kind of emotion ultimately, and connect to our listeners. And so that's kind of what's next for us. I'd kind of mentioned that we've got these new songs coming out. I do think a new music video is on the horizon. I've been in talks with a local photographer who was recently taking pictures for the Rolling Stones when they were in the area, and Luke Bryan. And so we've got that next on our list to go ahead and start stepping down that path. So I think there's a lot of new, exciting opportunities for us. We're just getting our feet wet.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show tonight and sharing your stories and your songs with me. I think you guys are really great, and I'm looking forward to hearing some more great music from you in the future.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Very excited.
Awesome.
You're welcome. And anytime you guys want to come back on, you got my email, you got my cell phone. If you got something you want to promote and you want to come back on the show, I'd love to have you back on, all right?
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'd love to be back.
Awesome. Well, you guys take care and enjoy the rest of your night, all right?
All right, I'll do the same.
All right.
You have a good one.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Machine Show is a weekly radio podcast produced by Jimmy Howell Productions. All rights reserved. For information regarding distribution or adding this podcast to your website, please visit our contact page at therecordmachineshow.com to submit your request. Thanks for listening. See you next time on The Record Machine Show.
The Record Machine Show.